Okay, so the next chapter, chapter 6, alpha brainwaves and acetylcholine. Alpha brainwaves, she says that is most active in the right hemisphere. So if you remember, the right hemisphere is that visual, spatial, emotional part of the triune brain. The beta brainwaves, I should say this too, is in the prefrontal cortex, but also even in the cortex, which is in the left hemisphere. So the right hemisphere really has to deal with a lot of alpha brainwaves. Then the logical piece is the left hemisphere, which there's a lot of beta brainwaves that go on there. And of course, the brainwaves, they overlap and they ebb and flow, but primarily the alpha brainwaves, when are active, the right hemisphere is lighting up. So that the when we have too little of alpha, then we just go into this lethargic state again, kind of like the beta. Too little just kills us in anything. But if we have too little, we have no attention. We're not able to assess our emotions very well. Too much is also a problem in the right hemisphere. We become attached to our emotions, and it just becomes a little jacked up as well. You can read all the notes. I didn't think that was too important what she was talking about. It's just a backbone or backdrop for, once again, just the meditation. But I like what she talks about. I'll talk a brief bit of on the meditation for this chapter, because the alpha brain waves, once again, it's in that right hemisphere, so it's going to help us to feel grounded. She says it helps us to feel like we're actually human. So we have all of those emotions and automatic happenings happening in the reptilian brain, down deep in that triune brain. But as we go up into that right hemisphere, we can begin to cognitively assess our emotions. And that's really what happens, is the alpha brain waves are engaged with that assessment. There's some sense of consciousness. It's not too conscious, because then you got to move to that left hemisphere. Remember flow, you move back to the left hemisphere, which is logical, and then up to the prefrontal cortex. But there's some consciousness that seeps down and gets down into that right hemisphere, and the alpha brain waves are very, very, very important for assessing those and helping us to not neglect our emotions, but also to bring them on so that we can logically make decisions based on our emotions. And so all the meditation practices are going to help us to do that very thing, is to know our emotions. And she gets back into the Enneagram, know our personality, know getting deeper into who we are. As you think about it, the beta brain waves are the fastest. Gamma's the fastest, but she talks about some monks were wild and they were able to activate gamma brain waves, but I don't know, it's through some like years and years of meditation. But beta is the fastest, and that's where we use that prefrontal cortex, but it starts to get slower in the alpha, so it's more of a slower pace type thing. So people that are always up and up and up, they probably have a depletion of alpha brainwaves, which is why they're so up and then they crash back to that lethargic mind state. So that's chapter 6. That's chapter 6. Oh, and sorry, there's acetylcholine too. It's just the neurotransmitter that goes with it. And she talks about how to uptake that and downtake it, but I didn't think that was much important.